in this country, and what would be the best ways to tackle unemployment and underemployment in Uganda today, with these staggering figures of how many Uganda's young people don't have access to jobs. Jackie, we asked the question about why is government unable to do these massive projects that could actually suck up a lot of a lot of the idle labor that we have around here?
Because I think, like we started, Charles, when you don't have a plan, you basically plan to fail. And like I had made the point that if you say your intention is to create that integrated, independent, self-sustaining economy, and this is something you came saying not yesterday but right from 86. So what was your Marshall Plan 20 years looking forward? And that is therefore the plan that guides you on how to invest. When we talk about youth unemployment, I don't even know that they understand, in order to get this kind of economy, what must we be investing in? And instead we then use our money on all shouldn't be used on, and then without understanding where are the jobs needed, what labor force do we need, where are we lacking, where should we be investing? I don't think they have the answers. I don't think they are investing in the research to give them those answers. And instead, what do we do? Of course, I mean, it's very easy to come up with schemes and throw money at people, but that will not unfortunately solve the problem. So I think it's all about going back to the drawing board and saying, what do we need to get where we want to go, unless the intention is not actually that. And maybe in fact it has shown that it's not actually that, in the way we spend our money, in the way we pull out of social services, in the way we spend on politics, in the way we spend on administration, in the way we spend on patronage. Maybe that is actually the intention, and not ever to create an integrated, self-sustaining economy.
Norbert, is it possible to go back to that Marshall Plan? We know the state of the economy. We know the state of the political, social setup of this country today as it is. Is there room within this government to sit back and say, look, wait a minute, this is where we were thinking we wanted to go. This is where we are today. How do we move out of there?
This morning I was at a meeting of the National Consultative Forum. The registered corporate represented, and we came up with the idea of holding a national conference to deal with these issues. By the time I left, there was yet no agreement. I don't know what has happened, but we don't need anybody's permission to discuss. We can assemble, and we are going to do it. What Jackie said is pivotal. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. As Uganda headed towards independence, those who were managing this country knew that there was the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, also known as the World Bank, with its venture capital arm, the IFC, International Finance Corporation. In Uganda, they created the Uganda Development Corporation, and it made sure that it tapped the potential of every part. You had meat packers here, you had the Lira spinning mill, you had Nitil in Jinja, grain milling, bread limited, Uganda feeds, you had the ranches in Ankole, rows and rows and rows of them. Now, to me, right now we have got a national planning authority, but it's not doing any planning, for the simple reason that the way Uganda is being managed today, there seems to be lack of self-confidence by these key institutions. They are looking over their shoulders. They are not sure what to do. And maybe Bank of Uganda is now also the one in jeopardy now. So, it is not too late, Charles, for us to sit together and, to find your way if you are lost. You must go back to a familiar place. You know, if I get lost around Uganda House, let's say I know Uganda House, and then I'm walking eastwards towards Nakawa, I get thoroughly lost in Kololo, then somebody is trying to find me. I'm better off walking back to Uganda House and then saying I am at Uganda House. So we got lost when we embraced this Washington consensus, which basically is about withdrawing the role of government in any form of enterprise, withdrawing from investment in social sector, and then opening up the economy so wide that anybody who wants to play now comes and plays in Uganda. You know, any conman, whether you are Kananathan and this Agoa thing, you come and...
No, but wouldn't that be finding excuses? I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
ESCO, which runs the power generation at Owen Falls Dam, is a South African government company. Umeme is a subsidiary, initially was South African, British. There is a group called Arab Contractors, a company of the Egyptian government.
Kenya Commercial Bank.
Kenya Commercial Bank. Kenya Airways, majority shareholder.
Even
the Kenyan government.
Sinook that we are trying to get into oil.
Rwanda Air.
Actually,
Yes.
China, most of the Chinese companies that are coming here, and we're getting very excited about China, are government of China-owned companies.
Yeah.
Look at Tropical Bank. Yesterday, the central bank handed over Tropical Bank back to the Libyan government. When these countries also subject to the same Washington consensus, how did they avoid getting entrapped in the Washington consensus, and the Uganda government got entrapped there?
I think here these international financial institutions, the Washington Twins, World Bank and IMF, had more cheerleaders than anywhere else. If our governor of the central bank is one of the greatest cheerleaders of the Washington consensus, and Keith Muhakanizi is one of the greatest cheerleaders. You know, ideas matter, Charles. You know, if you don't have somebody who is sensitive to the needs of a country and is ideologically well oriented and is not just a conduit for policies, chances are that you are going to have a problem. When Che Guevara was being
Chairman,
yes,
how do you find people who are ideologically oriented not to be used as pipelines?
I think you must keep sucking those who are wrong until you find the right one. Because you must not compromise on your standards. I respect, or at least I used to respect, our governor of the central bank.
At least each one of us.
He definitely has been a formidable person. He has really defended the independence of the institution. But I do believe
that actually. I thought he's hanging on the cross now because he hasn't defended the independence of the institution that he had.
I think he has slipped at this point. You know, among the Acholi we say the pot of water can break in the compound when you have arrived. When you have walked 10 miles from the stream, and then because you are too lazy to lift the pot and put it down as you go in, you just want to bend, and then the grass on the with which you used to thatch the roof pushes the pot off your head and you lose the water. So I do believe that we needed to define what we wanted. Of course, we disagreed with this governor when we voted against the selling of Uganda Commercial Bank.
Yeah.
And he called us potato growers. He refused to come before the parliamentary committee. He says he cannot discuss macroeconomic policy with potato growers. And we denounced him for that. He has never apologized for that kind of language usage. Now, it matters a lot what sort of people we put in charge of our economy. I would like to insist, Charles, that we need people who realize that the majority of our economic actors are not in the marketplace. They are in the informal sector. Actually, what you call the Ugandan economy that Allen Kajina captures in her computer is just a small number of people. The rest of the economy
it's a tiny hostage section of the population.
Yes, the rest of the economy should be an economy where is an economy where you have the informal sector. And I'd like to connect with what Godber said, that if most of our sectors revolve around agriculture, then the question is, how do you organize this sector as a government and look for market for them? You should know that these construction companies are being promoted by the Chinese government.
Yes.
Now, our ambassadors, I have never heard of a Ugandan ambassador aggressively promoting anything Ugandan anywhere.
Is there anything Ugandan that you need to promote?
I think
At least Andrew Rugasira has tried with good African coffee.
We need to take
Our coffee is said to be the best. But now, the coffee which is easy to grow is being